It's the beginning of the year, the 19th of February, and so I'm going to go through all of my Acer palmatums and give them a quick prune ready for the year ahead. So this first one is not labelled, but I think it's probably Acer palmatum Atropurpureum. Atropurpureum in Latin means dark purple. So I believe this is likely to be a plant with a reddish leaf throughout the whole year and potentially with quite a vibrant scarlety colour in the autumn. It's apparently a cultivar that is very, very diluted and can't really be considered a true cultivar. So there's lots of these plants in cultivation which have been grown from seed, and so you can't really trust that they're clones of the original selection. But generally speaking, Atropurpureum is applied to a plant where someone's not 100% sure what it is, but it's got purple leaves. So the growth that I've got on here is you can see a lot of elongation in the growth at the top of the plant. We've also got some quite vigorous growth coming from the point of the graft. It's not clear whether it's above or below the graft. I think it's above the graft, but still I'm going to take all of this off and then just tidy up some of this really long growth here with these really long internodes. So let's start with the lower growth. This could be useful actually because we've got a long region here with nothing much happening, so that might be useful, so let's keep that one. But this is going to be a crossing branch, although that could be wired. I might wire that to be a back branch, assuming this is the front. This is the front because of the slant. So when I wire this, this can be the partner to go back. Then we have an eye poker. I'll take that out. Now, the question is whether to allow this to continue. I don't think we really want that, so I could take out the whole branch. Take it back to some earlier buds. Take it down to here and see what that looks like. I'll take it out completely. All right. There's too much spring in this branch. It's going too vertical there. I want to bring it down, but it might snap here. So I'm just going to take the risk, and if it snaps, it doesn't matter. All right, that's one done. So next up is Orange Dream. Now this tree was purchased really cheaply from a garden centre and looked sick all year. And I think that's because it's not been raised very well, it's not been grown very well, and it's been pushed so that it generates a lot of growth so that it can be sold, but it hasn't yet had a chance to develop a root system. So the root system isn't able to support the growth that is developed, and so therefore it gets really sick. However, it is still alive, and it's, you know, it's got loads of buds on it. So what I'm going to do is just reduce this significantly to put less pressure on the roots this year and see what happens. So let's take this back quite far. We've got an interesting shape on it, I must say. I do like this shape, these kind of two trunks, and they could be prized apart a bit. Anyway, let's reduce this down. So I'm going to take this whole stem here. Maybe that's a bit too much. Let's go gradually. Let's take out this. Got a lot of growth coming out here, so let's take that one. We've got this kind of twin trunk, this inverse pattern here, which kind of clashes with this really long stem. So I'm wondering if we simply cut this stem away and rely on this. I think I'm going to do that. All right. Here we are. So significantly reduced, but I think that's going to make for an interesting structure to develop from. So this one is called Phoenix, and it's not looking, there is some elongation, so it has got some growth last year, but there's quite a lot of dieback at the tips, which suggests that this wasn't able to support its own mass. So I'm going to cut this one back quite significantly as well, and it might do better this year. So I'm just going to really just indiscriminately cut everything back. Okay, that's simplified quite significantly. And I think that will stand a better chance of thriving this year. So this is an unlabelled one. It's looking reminiscent of the orange green from earlier. It says seedling, and I think it might be a tree that I bought from somewhere which died but then re-sprouted. So it didn't really die. But, lots of these sections on these trees where you get a kind of whirl around the point of the node. So what do I think we should do with this? I mean, ideally we don't really want all of that growth. Let's try and clear out the middle. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches more or less coming from this point. We definitely don't want. Let's take out the big one. Really long internodes here, so let's just get rid of them. All right. That's it for that one. See how that gets on. Okay, so this is another one that I think I just bought really cheap and it just doesn't have sufficient roots on it. This is butterfly, I believe, although it's not labelled. So I'm just going to cut this back to give it a fighting chance. All right. Not a beautiful tree, but we'll see what happens with that. So this is another butterfly. I think what happened was there were 2 trees in one pot and I pulled them apart, which wouldn't have made them that happy. This has got a few wire scars on it as well. It's quite an interesting shape though. So I'm just going to give this cut it back, reduce the pressure on the roots, see what happens. Alright, that's got an interesting shape. So we'll see what happens to it. So this is Shaina. It's clearly been quite heavily pruned. It's got some guy wire on it. And it's looking quite shabby. More established, thicker wood. Interesting shape. I wonder if any pruning needs to be done on this at all. Perhaps I can tighten this guy wire. Let's see if there's any damage. No damage. Let's tighten that. Accentuate a bit more. Right, I'm not going to do any more to this one. Okay, so this one looks very happy. This is Jerez Schwarz. So there's too much branching on this, so we need to take some off, simplify it. You can see that I've taken out what was originally the leader from there to create taper. So I'm going to try and take out vertical growth and keep horizontal growth, as well as tidy it. Okay, so this branch seems to be handled quite nicely. It's coming out at quite a 45-degree angle, lots of horizontal, so I think that is great. So I'll see if I can use that as a theme for the rest. I wonder if it just gets chopped here and then we keep this horizontal growth. That certainly would create a lot of taper. Let's do it. Bite the bullet. As a wise man in the bonsai world once said. And we've got really good ramification here, just a little bit of crossing. Take this horizontal out, this vertical. I think this is looking good. I suspect I've more or less cut it back to the point of last year, but it's got really good ramification. So let's see what happens to this one. Okay, that is more pleasing. Very happy with that. So this is a very sorry looking affair. This is a Beni Maiko from B&Q, which I purchased for about £7. There was another one which is dead, and this is what's left. Now this was very sick last year, so this is the the same situation. A plant grown very vigorously. I believe they flood them with nitrogen to create all of the vegetative growth, but it then simply can't support itself with the root system that it's got, and so then it's really sick and dies. So what am I going to do with this? The other thing I noticed with this is that I bought it in the spring, so it was in leaf, and the leaves were very dull. So I have another Beni Maiko whose leaves are beautiful in the spring, and this was very dull, so quite possibly this isn't even a proper clone of that cultivar. So I'm just going to cut this back really severely and give it a fighting chance to survive. It looks like I actually wired it, so let's try and keep that structure that I tried to create. It's going to be difficult there. I'm just going to give it a crude snip. Right, that's halved its mass. That was £9. Halved its mass. Let's see if it can survive. And put on some nice colour. Now this is a Beni Maiko that I purchased from Paramount Plants and wired. Absolutely butchered with the wire. Don't know if it can be seen here, but this is all scar. The bark almost completely came away, the wire went so deep. However, it seems to have survived, and I do have some interesting movement in it. It's a little bit two-dimensional. You can probably see there that most of the movement is in this plane. Really, you want it to be in multiple planes, but plenty of time to deal with that. I think what I've achieved here is making horizontal branches more horizontal. It almost is cascading here, which I might promote. So, just need to decide if anything needs to be pruned off this. I think perhaps some of the elongation towards the tips. That might be it. It might also be nice to prune this after it leaves out, because it's so pretty. I've got some congestion. I've got some congestion here. Congestion here, which needs to be resolved. Perhaps by taking out this branch. I think I will take that out. I might take some cuttings of this one, as it's such a good cultivar. I think all I need to take out are the branches that are growing inwards. There's a little one growing inwards here, but it's filling a void, so perhaps it's okay. This cascade is touching the pot grow away, I'm sure, in time. And then, who will be the leader? This or this? If we make the leader the one on the left, then the shape will continue to be interesting. So let's pull that out. Okay, let's neaten that up a lot. I'm going to leave that like that. See how it gets on. Okay, so this is the pièce de la résistance. This is my Inaba Shidare. And it's looking awesome. Looks like I've got some guy wires in there. A lot of cascading going on. What I really want to do is raise the apex of this. I'm wondering if I need to warp. Well, we've got some. It's quite thin towards the top. So, what do I need to do to this? Where is the front? So the Inaba Shidare really is for autumn colour. Bright red, amazing colour. Right, that's very taut. But good. Much more of a severe cascade. So, what are the goals for this tree? I think the goals are to raise the apex. I want this to be stronger. Then here we have a line. We come up this branch, and I think it wants to come back. I think I want to take that out. I do. That looks cool. Got this cascading growth here, which is going down too far. It's like those buds are dead. I wonder if that whole. I wonder if this is all dead. Maybe I shouldn't have cut that off. Could have been the only living bit. We will see. So we now have a big void here. I think things can grow from there and fit it. So that's okay. I think that's all I'm going to do to this one for now. I don't know if it's visible, but there's some very deep scarring from wiring that I did in its first year. So this is the last one. So I'll do another video when they're all in leaf.